I think Putin is in a Chinese finger trap, a reverse Chinese finger trap. What do I Pravit Moi Druzy. Hello, my friends. My name is Darren Gerdes, and I give regular updates on what's going on in Ukraine. In the news today, or within the last few days, President Xi of China has been visiting Vladimir Putin in Russia. And now a number of other commentators have done news. There's hard news that talks about the details of their conversation. If you really want a good perspective on how this affects Ukraine, I would highlight Anna from Ukraine did a really good job with this. Lad Vexler did a really good job with this. And I'm not going to repeat what they said, but I'm going to try to go to the next step. I think Putin is in a Chinese finger trap, a reverse Chinese finger trap. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is what a Chinese finger trap is. It looks like this, and this guy's going to show you how it works.
Once they're all the way inside, I start to try and pull them out, but the finger trap grabs onto them. If I pulled really, really hard, I might be able to break it and get them out. But at the moment, I'm trapped. So rather than pulling them out, I push them back together, and then I can slide my fingers out.
So that's how a Chinese finger trap works. Once you put your fingers in, the more you pull, the more stuck you are. I'm saying that Putin is in a reverse Chinese finger trap. The more that he gets closer, the more stuck he's going to become. So I put some thoughts down about what's going on in Russia with the trip, and I just want to kind of give you a sense of what's going on. So the first thing that was really interesting was that there was this incredibly tepid response from President Xi. Like, Russia was really expecting a much more fully throated support for Russia and trade with Russia and things along those lines. And it would be like almost like after 9/11, if the British came to visit the White House and then they were like, let's talk about getting Americans off coffee and back onto tea. Let's talk about that, because that's on my agenda. China did not give Putin what he wanted in any meaningful way. Putin wanted to go on and talk about the multipolar world and rant and rave about that. So there's an analogy here, and it's imperfect, as all analogies are necessarily imperfect, but Putin is kind of like the guy who hates his wife so much that he's willing to blow up the marriage, forget the kids, forget the beautiful house that we live in. I can't stand her any longer. I want to be with my mistress, and he can't see straight anymore. That's kind of how Putin thinks about the West. He feels somewhat slighted about the West. He's not respected as a great power. He wants the multipolar world so badly he can taste it. That's where Putin is. So divorce the wife, and this new mistress is going to be better. The new mistress is moving away from supplying things to the West and going to the BRICS, particularly China, like the oil pipeline that they're talking about. 10 years, they'll have an oil pipeline to China. It's a trap. So Xi hates the Western unipolar kind of world too. He wants to be dominant. Actually, he would prefer a unipolar world run by China, but he hates the world order as it is too. But for him, he's cooler. He's not emotional about it. It's a business transaction. He wants to deal with the new Silk Road. As he gets the new Silk Road, as he gets cheap oil, Russia becomes more of a vassal of China than the other way around, where Putin's looking at it thinking, China will be my new Germany. They'll be my, dependent upon me for this oil, and it's not going to work out that way. China's smart enough to keep their options open, not become dependent on Russia for oil, keep talking with Saudi Arabia and other places. That's not going to be an issue for China. They don't want sanctions, so they're walking a very fine line. They want to give the appearance of support and give the appearance of neutrality simultaneously. I'm not going to go into the provisions of the Ukraine peace plan, because I don't think it's a legit peace plan. It's probably just a stalling tactic. I don't think anything will come of it. China's not a neutral party, so I'm not going to worry about it. But back to the Chinese finger trap. So remember, again, it's a reverse Chinese finger trap, where the closer you become, the more entrapped you are. Now, Russia used to be the senior partner, the big brother to China. What Putin thinks is going to happen and what Xi thinks is going to happen are two vastly different pictures of the way the world's going to work, and Xi is going to become the big winner here. I think President Xi is playing this in such a way that regardless if Russia wins or loses, Xi is going to be the big winner. So Putin's planning to go to China to double down and get some kind of agreement. And the agreement I think he's looking for is the oil pipeline. They haven't had an oil pipeline to China, even though China wasn't all that far, because they had the oil pipeline from where the oil was easily through the Baltic Sea into Europe before. And if he gets his oil pipeline, he's going to be extra trapped. It will be, instead of the Soviet-China kind of relation, it'll be like China or Russia to North Korea kind of relation, and Russia will become a new vassal state. I'm not sure who to root for, because I'm not sure that a really superpowered China is actually a good thing either. But Russia doesn't understand what it's in for. Okay, that's my analysis. I could be wrong, but this is how I perceive what's going on. What do you think? Let me know. I'm very curious about your thoughts. If you want to support this channel, give me a like, leave me a comment, ask me a question. If you want to support my work, you can buy me a coffee. If you want to support the effort in Ukraine more directly, there are links to both United 24 and Samaritan's Purse in the description below. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.